Hey guys, it's Shazam. Sorry I've been away for long, I had a busy week and stuff, but I've been very active on Instagram at least. Anyway, I've been waiting for way too long to gather more evidence to support this theory, but I think I got everything I could find. And I think I've waited long enough, and people need to know about it. Unfortunately, I did mention it briefly in my Genjutsu explanation video. I didn't realize that I did until recently, and that was a dumb move, but here's the whole story. So, Genjutsu is arguably the most complicated topic in Naruto, and a lot of people still don't fully understand it. That might include you and me too. But we all know the basics, I hope. I did explain it in my second video, as I mentioned. I don't know if you should watch that one either, cause it's old and sad. Not as Shazam as I hoped it would be, but anyway. So this theory is regarding Genjutsu, and here's what it says. Don't freak out or anything, and let me explain. Genjutsu does not work on people who have significantly larger chakra reserves than the caster. Emphasis on significantly. Now I can't quantify the difference in chakra, but I can speculate. In the end, it's just a theory. So I have 3 main points to support this theory, so I'll start from number 1. And that's Jiraiya's explanation. So Jiraiya explains that Genjutsu works on your opponent's 5 senses and that the caster controls their chakra flow and their cranial nerves. Now this could either mean the caster controls their chakra in order to reach their brain, or target their brain in order to control their chakra. But I think the former is more accurate considering what Shisui said in the novel, which I will get into in a bit. The way Genjutsu works essentially isn't dependent on where the victim looks or if they hear the sound in auditory Genjutsu, as many people think, but it's dependent on the caster themselves. As Shisui explains it, the caster pours chakra into their visual or auditory Genjutsu, and when the victim makes the required contact, the poured chakra goes into their network. And logically speaking, if an enemy has more chakra, then they most likely have more chakra flowing in their cranial nerves. Thus, the caster would need to use more chakra. That doesn't convince you? Well, let's take Shisui's statement in the novel that Kodo Amatsukami is so powerful because it pours several times more chakra than normal Genjutsu would, so the enemy's chakra flow would be manipulated before they even realize it. That means the more chakra poured into the Genjutsu, the more effective it is, so the caster needs to have relatively high chakra reserves in the first place. And this here is my headcanon, but accurate nonetheless, and that if an enemy has a lot of chakra, normally it would take more chakra to control its flow. So that's the first point. On to the second point, the 5 Kage Summit. Now you'll remember the father C, right? Yeah, so while he wasn't even looking, Sasuke casually forces him to look into his eyes to cast a Genjutsu. Now this is weird because despite that fact, Sasuke didn't do the same thing when the Raikage was literally looking into his eyes directly. And I don't think it's the author forgetting or anything. Maybe you could say he doesn't want to make a fight boring. I'll keep that in mind. But there is the time in the war where Onoki tells everyone not to look directly into Madara's eyes. Now why would Onoki worry about Madara specifically and not Sasuke, who wasn't that much of a threat? You'll get what I'm trying to say in a bit. But the point so far is that the author didn't forget. So back to the subject. The Raikage was looking into Sasuke's eyes and he didn't cast a Genjutsu. Why? Take a second to guess. Okay, time's up. Here's what Karen said before. Makes more sense now? That's it for my second point. The third point is Sasuke versus Danzo. When Sasuke was fighting Danzo, Toby notes that Sasuke placed one Genjutsu on him only to make sure whether or not he can trap him in a Genjutsu. And here's the important part. The manga shows that Toby emphasized on the word could, and even says even if it's just for an instant, meaning one of 2 things. 1. Sasuke was thinking maybe the eyes on his arm could repel the Genjutsu. 2. Sasuke thought there would be a possibility where he wouldn't be able to land it. I say the second choice makes more sense, and I'd say it's a better one for 2 reasons. 1. Sasuke was able to observe the eyes closing every minute, and if his last plan was to wait for them to run out, then there would be no point in it for him to be afraid that Danzo would be able to see it. And 2, there is no indication that Danzo could see with the eyes on his arms. True that Shin was able to see with the eye on his head, but it's on his head, so most likely connected to his brain, whereas Danzo's are in a synthetic arm, which is made of Hashirama cells, which has life force in it. In other words, can provide the right circumstances for the eye's survivability, so it's likely that he put them there only for them to function without vision to his brain. And to further prove it, If Danzo really was able to see with them, then he wouldn't need to look at them every now and then to make sure one is still active. In other words, he should be able to see what the eye is seeing, if that's the case. So yeah, Sasuke thought he might not be able to cast it for another reason. Now why would Sasuke cast a Genjutsu on C and then seem unsure of his Genjutsu success on Danzo, but then not doing it on the Raikage at all, not even attempting to do it? Maybe you didn't hear me the first time. These eyes can see chakra as different colors. Now how is that relevant? Well, simple. The Sharingan can see chakra. Sasuke saw that C had relatively low chakra, so he was susceptible to Genjutsu. He saw that A had a lot of chakra and didn't do it. But Danzo, well, why was Sasuke not sure? Remember how Hiruzen was too old that he couldn't use shadow clones? Well, Danzo is older than that, but he has something. Hashirama cells, so the amount of chakra he had seemed to be close to what Sasuke could manipulate, so he tried. Again, this didn't surely happen, it's just a theory. So those are my 3 points, but I know there are things I need to explain. One is Itachi using Genjutsu on Naruto. This one was a bit tricky for me, not gonna lie, but Shazam finds a way. Naruto has a lot more chakra than Itachi, and that's an understatement. So why was he able to cast a Genjutsu on Naruto not once but twice? Well, remember the training Naruto had to control his wind nature? Remember why he needed Yamato? Because when Naruto uses up a lot of his chakra, or all of his chakra, Kyuubi's chakra will get loose and take over, and Yamato was there to suppress Kyuubi. So from that we get that a large portion of Naruto's chakra is suppressing the Nine Tails, and that's also why his chakra control is so bad. Need more examples? Itachi was pushing Sasuke to his limits so that Orochimaru would emerge when Sasuke tries to draw more. Need more? When Sasuke needed to use the third Chidori even though 2 was his limit, the curse mark was activated. You get the point? Kuru. The second one is Sasuke using Genjutsu on Killer Bee. This one's very easy to handle. Killer Bee doesn't have a lot of chakra. Gyuki does. The third one is Itachi casting Genjutsu on Orochimaru. I'll make this simple. Orochimaru doesn't have a lot of chakra, at least not at the time Itachi beat him. At the time that was Orochimaru's first body, he did say that in the novel, and he said that the one he fought Hiruzen with was his second body, and Orochimaru's chakra is only relative to the host. That's supported by the fact that he'd been looking for a host to handle Sage Mode, which is directly related to chakra. Also, as it was his first experiment, it's likely that he had errors in it. The fourth one is casting Genjutsu on Pain. I heard this argument recently, and it's not hard to work with. How did Fukasaku and Shima drop all 3 pains when Nagato is in Uzumaki? Well, first off, Fukasaku and Shima have perfect Sage Mode since, well, they're toads, and that means they have a lot of chakra for Sage Mode, and add to that the natural energy they absorb, so basically that Genjutsu was enhanced by Senjutsu. As for the pains, well, they don't have all of Nagato's chakra. Nagato distributes his chakra among all of them, and Nagato isn't even in a good shape to begin with. Add to that the fact that he summons the rest of the pains earlier, meaning there is more chakra he's distributed to others. 5. Uchiha and the Bijou. These are a little tricky too, but several people were able to control Bijou who are huge amounts of chakra, such as Madara and Obito. Both did it seemingly with base Sharingan. Let's make it clear though that a base Sharingan is most likely enhanced when a Mangekyo is unlocked. The reason I say this is how Sasuke as a Genin was able to predict Naruto's movements, and in the 5 Kage Summit he did the same thing with seemingly the same amount of effort in base Sharingan. I mean, he didn't seem to need to use the Mangekyo Sharingan to fight someone as fast as the Raikage. Anyway, back to it. So why are Bijou susceptible to Genjutsu when there are more chakra than all the casters? Maybe you didn't hear me the first time. Oh, okay, I'll stop this. I twice referred to the Bijou as chakra, not what they have. Bijou are simply masses of chakra. They don't have a network to manipulate. But let's take a look at the people who managed to do it. The first one was Madara. He had EMS and was said to have the most powerful chakra in the Uchiha. Whether that refers to the quality or quantity or intensity, it still means he has powerful chakra. And according to every single person, the only one who could control the Nine Tails. The second one who did it was Obito. He had a Mangekyo, so that as established would enhance his base Sharingan, but he only had one Sharingan, so what's so special about him? Hashirama cells. Simple as that. Not to mention that Obito himself says that Uchiha and Senju DNA combined can grant control over Kyuubi. The third one was Sasuke with the Rinnegan and 6 Path Chakra. Not much to say here, honestly. So yeah, Bijou are a different case than normal humans. Speaking of normal humans, am I the only one who is confused about how normal people can break Genjutsu? Well, maybe I'd add a second theory here. First, Genjutsu does work on people without chakra, because not everyone in Naruto has chakra, and chakra is formed and doesn't exist just like that. So I'd like to think of chakra as a defense between the brain and the Genjutsu. If the chakra network is taken over by the Genjutsu, then the brain is free for the taking. So I was thinking, if you disrupt someone's chakra to break the Genjutsu, how do you break Genjutsu on another normal human? Well, I'm thinking, knock them out. The only time I can think of where a Genjutsu was used on a normal person was Itachi using it on a chick. And I think it's the only time that after the Genjutsu was broken, they were only seen knocked out. Not sure though, since we never saw immediately after it was broken. Well, if you still don't think the theory makes sense, I'd like you to name one character who doesn't follow the rules I mentioned when the Genjutsu was cast. Also, it makes more sense since by that logic, Genjutsu will always work with zero effort and no consequences. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you got something to say, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.